So the interesting thing is to me, how do people who stand in front of convenience stores or out anywhere, the ones who aren't, because in my opinion, when you're going through certain things, it won't allow you to do certain things. But for some of the people who stand out and ask people for different things. Now, we can't demonize everybody who does that, but from my perspective, I learned from my grandma earlier, she was like, you don't give everybody money. And so if I have food, I'll give certain people food, or I'll get them exactly what they're asking for instead of giving them money. But how do people who stand outside of the stores and different things discern who is going to give them what? Sometimes people who we would deem bad may give them something. But the more consistent target is a particular person in my case, because, I wouldn't say that I've been necessarily targeted, but I know it's something about my demeanor and the way that I carry myself that makes people assume that I'm a nice person in different things and that I'll do different things for them, which at times is valid things. How you doing? Which at times is very valid, but I think because of my demeanor, that's assumed more often than I would like. But there's something, if that's something that happens to you, or every time you walk out somewhere, even if you don't got nothing, people assume that you're the person that can help them. It's something on you that they know you will help them if it's in your power to. It's something about you, because people don't go to people who they know like wouldn't do that. And so I'm bringing all that up to say people know when certain things are on a person. And so, I had talked about Billy Graham a little bit earlier, and, how I find it interesting that he was involved in Freemasonry, him being my favorite preacher and different things like that. And to me, it's amazing because people will demonize a person who is standing out there doing that, like to the worst. And then somebody who happens to have that much prestige or whatever, when something like that comes out, because of their overall influence and their overall what they represent to, the higher ups in this country and different things, like certain things aren't going to come out about them in a way that would, damage their reputation. But it's interesting how, different people with power, even though they, have certain positions or they have done things that are questionable, that, those things are easily forgiven, than a person who, may be struggling, may have terrible foundation, terrible upbringing, and it's no excuse because you allow yourself to become a certain way. But as I've said the other day, you can't deny the different things that have happened to get a person to a particular mind state. And so I think to try to undermine those things and not bring those things into question properly, causes, us to have preferential judgment when it comes to people depending on the status and different things. But to think that Billy Graham was involved in that and had the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit leads us into all truth. And so for him to have the Holy Spirit, and the Holy Spirit never warned him about that, I find that kind of hard to believe. Now, he could, maybe he did, and we don't know. Maybe it was something that was worked out. But it's interesting that even upon finding that out, for me, how much he's propagated. But I do also understand